Welcome back to the Building AI playlist. On this episode, I wanted to speak about how to build a machine learning model that actually solves the problem. We're going to look at this on a high level scale so people can understand in regards to creativity and problem solving. On the other episodes and episodes before, you find that I've tried to go a little bit more specific into algorithms, and I'll try to get even more specific in the later episodes. But I feel it's very important for people to understand how to look at this in regards to solving a problem, in regards to a business context, in regards to a specific issue, so that people can know where some of the ideas come from and where they actually originate. I think I'm saying the same thing, but where the actual ideas can actually make the greatest impact. Now, one thing that's very important for people to understand, and on the data analytics playlist, I'll go a little bit more into it and I'll speak about it. But one of the most important ideas to understand is something called hypothesis testing. Now, this term you find in statistics has got a different definition. In research has got a different definition, but I'll be sticking to a definition more inclined with data science. Now, this is a statistical method. So just say a stats method to validate an assumption or claim on a data set. So just say vast amount of information. Okay? This is a critical idea to understand. As I said, we will get into hypothesis testing and all of that and evaluation metrics. We'll get into hypothesis testing and the confusion matrix a little bit later. I've done a previous episode on why statistics is important in data science, and I think you must go back and also watch that video. It's going to be on the Building Data Science playlist. But now, when we're actually going into this, right, when we say, let's build an actual model, right, one of the first and most important things that you'll find is, first, you have your massive amount of data. So let's say you're building a model. So you have input data. Then this input data will go into your black box. And when it goes into the black box, then it will come out with a result called an output, referred to as y hat. Now, the reason why, let's say, for example, now on the input data, we're going to do statistical methods or statistical formulas on the input data to validate claims or assumptions which we've made about our data set. So our vast amount of information. So we're going to do the hypothesis test and we're going to validate it, or we're going to be able to say it's right or wrong, and we're going to put that into our algorithm. Oh, did I forget how to spell algorithm? Algorithm. And this algorithm will then be used to build your actual machine learning model, right? So with the hypothesis testing, we're going to then go and build the algorithm, which is an exact set of steps to solve a problem. So I did a video on what is an algorithm. So I'd advise for people to go and look at that video if you feel a little bit confused. And that's the reason why I've tried to go episode by episode, speaking on different things. So if there's something that confuses you, you can be able to go back and say, okay, where is this all coming from and what does this all lead to, right? Now, when you've got your information, you put it in your black box, you come out with the result. So, one of the most important ideas which people need to understand is you've built your black box, which is, let's say, your framework, and you've built your algorithm, right? Now, it's important to understand that you can find that you've made a lot of assumptions and claims. You've made a lot of guesswork. But with that guesswork, you now say, okay, you have your result, right? Now, one of the most important ideas which has come across, which revolutionized the idea of building machine learning models, is if you, let's say, change the type of data that you have, right? So let's say now there's many things that you can do with your data or with your vast amount of information that you've got based on different industries. I'm not going to try go specific into what type of industries or what type of information and what type of thing. But remember, what happens with this data is you put it in a specific format. You can do something called EDA, so you can explore it. And then also with this information, let's say, for example, you're trying to build a model that solves a problem. So let's say, for example, with the information you have, what if you have the solution? So your information has the X, so it has the ingredients and it's got the solution. So just say Y hat. Now, if your information which you have has got the result, what you can do is you can then be able to build your model, which is based on which is a framework which has some assumptions or some guesses. But what you can do is then you can be able to validate your result with the real results, and then you find the gap between your guesses and your real results. Then you now be able to say, okay, even though I was guessing, we can now be able to take the difference, and we can say that difference, we can use it to refine. So we can use it to improve. So these assumptions or the guesses that you've put within your algorithm or your machine learning model can now begin to be improved. This is a very important concept to understand. So when we're talking about the type of information we're putting in and also the way we're trying to solve the problem, this is where ideas, now let me use the word, this is where ideas like supervised learning stem from, where you're building a model, but the information which you have, you've got the actual information which is needed, and you've got the result of the information. So then you can be able to compare the results. Then you find that there's unsupervised learning, where instead you're now trying to find patterns in the information because you don't have the result. So you can't really compare and you can't really refine. There's something else which is called, let's say, unsupervised. I can say unsupervised. There's something called RL, which is called reinforcement learning, where you're now saying trial and error. You also trying to find the answer, but through trial and error to say, okay, then you build this a little bit different, right? Now, if we focus on supervised learning, right, when we go back, this idea of, let's say, refining your model or going back, this brings the idea in machine learning. You find there's concepts called gradient descent. In neural networks or in deep learning, there's something called back propagation. So there's actual terms which are associated with the idea and what you're trying to do, where you're trying to say the gap between your actual answer and the real answer, and the process of refining your model to find out what the difference is. One of the most important ideas as well, which people need to understand, right, is when you're building your model, right, or when you're saying, okay, your machine learning model you're building, your machine learning model needs to understand how relationships work. So, with the information that you have, let's say you have certain amount of information, which information is linked to each other and how does that link to your result? So what it is you find relationships can be linear or can be non-linear. So when we say linear, we can just say maybe a dumbed down version of it is, let's say, does your height, going back to one of the videos that I did before, where I think I did the calculation for how in deep learning a neural network does, why am I forgetting how the actual calculation within a neural network, or not even a neural network, when I think I did a linear regression algorithm, and now that's coming back to me. So I did a linear regression algorithm, which is a linear relationship to say, does your height affect your shoe size? Now, so for example, the taller you are, does it affect your shoe size? Is that relationship linear? You see, but now non-linearity is, what if it's not exactly like that? But you find the idea of non-linearity, you find, for example, this understanding of linearity, you find there are algorithms which are really good at understanding relationships based on that. And then you find that more complex ideas or more complex concepts, like in deep learning, you find that this idea of nonlinearity, there's something called activation functions, which really helped the idea of understanding nonlinear relationships. And then, so when you go deeper into the ideas, you go into things like ReLU, you go into the vanishing gradient problem. There's many ideas, but it's very important to understand, like, okay, when we're solving this, and you also have to remember that all of this falls into the context of the data science life cycle. The data science life cycle, you can say you have a business problem, and then how does you solving a problem relate to the business problem, to the outcome? How does that help in that process? There's different roles, different ideas, but you can be able to go to that. The reason why keep saying go to the other videos and go back is, if there's any ideas which are not making sense or which seem to be going in a different direction, you can be able to go back to it. So for example, when I did what is machine learning, I went into this ideas a bit deeper. I haven't really spoken about reinforced learning, and I plan to go into reinforced learning because there's the idea of reinforced learning human feedback loop. Then, when you add this idea, it also leads to something called transformers, and these transformers also lead to the modern LLMs, so the large language models that we're actually building. But remember, like I said, all these ideas spin off and they go deeper, but it's very important to understand on a high level where these ideas come from. And if you make an assumption, and then you can be able to refine that assumption based on your result, or how are you solving that problem. I think this is a good point for me to stop the video. I'll catch you later, and I'll catch you on the next episode. As I said, I'll make sure that I try to go through all these ideas. I've tried changing the camera angle a little bit to get it a bit more closer. I don't know if it helps or not. Please leave a comment or just a suggestion on how it should be done. Thanks. I'll see you soon.